big fan of mine. I mean, I've always adored him. Mr. Pick 199. I think that wasn't by coincidence. I think it was all happened for a reason. He was, not expected to be a top player, and I think he got like 5 Super Bowl rings, and here is this scrawny little guy that they didn't expect much of, and here he is, like, bring this team to redemption and everything, and in a crazy way, I'll come back to that, but that 199 pick, I think it's important. But anyways, as I'm watching the football game, I see a little commercial for the Winter Olympics come on, and I was like, hey, I've never been to Winter Olympics before. Let me go check it out. I look online, and it was maybe like $180 for a round trip flight, and I was like, hey, let's go for it. And I did. My girlfriend said it was, or the girl I was dating at the time, she says it was cool to go ahead and go for it. And I did, and man, it was, I had a weekend trip with her. I told her I'd be back in a week, no big deal. And she says, okay, as long as you come back, go ahead and enjoy, watch a few games or whatever. I even messaged some girl that I met on Facebook that was in San Diego, and she said that she had tickets for me for the opening ceremony. No worries, I'll meet you there. And I was like, all right, cool. Was all set, and then and I got there, and I got to the opening ceremony, and there's a whole story behind that. But man, I was so excited to be there. I was like 30,000 fans. I'm screaming at everybody, and then I look around, and everybody is on their cell phones like this too. They're either recording or they're playing games on their cell phone. They're just all like this, and just like, I'm like, what? I was like, come on, guys, like some of you guys pay like thousands of dollars to come out here, and you guys spend thousands of dollars to for these front row seats or whatever. Get up and enjoy this moment that we have. Like this is life changing. Like, I mean, this is you'll never get this back. It's not just about recording. You can watch this on TV later, but you have to feel this atmosphere, feel this feeling. All the athletes are here. Like, so I'm like giving high five to people, and I'm pointing at Sweden. I was like, Sweden, get up. And I was like, hey, Japan group, get up, guys. And they're like, they started getting excited, and I'm like high-fiving them, and then the volunteers are on the side, and they see me kind of like working with them too, and they're like, what the heck was this random like guest that's like so excited with them, and they're just like doing this like fake waving thing, and I'm like, yeah, high fives, and it was just cool. We were just like all excited. And yeah, and for some reason I got to the very end of the rail, and I was like, I see a spotlight in the middle of the thing, and I was like, man, I want to get there. I don't know, it sounds so crazy, but I was like, man, I want to get there and just do something, and somehow I see some kids' earmuffs fall on the ground. And I said, hey, you know what, if they arrest me or something, at least I can just say like I was trying to pick up this earmuffs and then it fell. And so anyways, I did it. I went over this rail, I picked up some kids' earmuffs, and I slid down the thing. And when I slid down, I saw this guy singing, and I didn't want to bug him or bother him, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna lip sync behind him. So I just lip sync behind him. It's tough. And they hauled me away soon enough. They just sat me down, so I was like, okay, no big deal then. I went to the other side of the stadium, and I saw everyone dancing like robots. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm kind of tired of all the Korean dancers like dancing like robots. There's no like spontaneity in those kind of dance moves. And I'm like, man, like here we are with AI and all this stuff, like it's gonna all replace us, and I don't want our dancers to get replaced by robots too, So I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and try to see if I can get up on stage. So I pretend like dancing like a robot onto center stage, and I think they thought I was part of the show, so no one bothered me for like a good like a minute and a half until I got all the way to the center. And then finally I was just like, wow, this is amazing. This is so cool being in the center stage or whatever and seeing like 30,000 people out there. Man, being up there in the fans is nothing compared to being right here on stage. Stage is awesome. And yeah, and then some guy said, hey, what are you doing here? And I was like, I don't know, but this is awesome. And he's like, oh, you can't get out. And he's like, we're doing our dance move. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. And I just walked right off. And eventually they hauled me away or whatever. Yeah, so eventually I somehow, oddly enough, I got away from that too. And I called in to the U.S. Embassy maybe like 3 days later, and I said, hey, what happened to that guy that crashed the opening ceremony or whatever? And they said, oh yeah, don't worry, we caught him, and he's gonna go through whatever. And then I was like, what, you caught him? I was like, that's kind of crazy. It's like, really? So I don't know, I felt like a little guilty conscience. I was like, man, I feel bad if someone had to take the blame for me. So I eventually, a couple of days later, I turned myself in. And I turned myself in the best way I knew how, by dancing on top of a car, of all things, huh? It was an old car. I didn't think much of it, but the cops saw me, they arrested me, and yeah, and then I went to jail for it. And I was thinking like, okay, guys, I'm sorry, just let me pay my fines and let me go. It was a bad mistake or whatever. And they said, no, John, we're gonna have to wait on trial. I was like, what's trial? What do you mean trial? Like, really? It was like, I didn't hurt anybody, I didn't kill anybody, I'm a good guy, like what do you mean trial? And it's like, and they brought out paper like this thick, and it's like, oh, we got you dancing here, we're dancing here, and we got you at the opening ceremony, blah blah blah, and this is all you. And I'm like, man, really, guys? Like, man, it's like, I'm a good dude, like, what are you talking about? But yeah, they put me in a holding cell for a week, and it was, I guess you can say, one of the scariest, pretty scary moment for me then, because they didn't tell me how long it was gonna be. They didn't tell me it was gonna be, 1 day, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years. I mean, they just said, we don't know. There's no date, and they said you have to wait. And yeah, and I'll reference this later, but I guess it's kind of like death sometimes. We don't know when we're gonna die, and here we are, just kind of sometimes all just living aimlessly, like we got it all figured out, that we're gonna live to 90, and there's always like reports that, oh, everyone, with all the medical advances, you're gonna live to 100 and all that, and it's like, well, no, that's not always the case. You don't know when your last day is. I can die tomorrow on my drive. I can die today, just going to meet some friends driving over there to Burbank. But yeah, so yeah, it was kind of excruciating in the holding cell. There was no windows, so you can't look at any clouds. All you do is look at a TV screen, and it's horrible because I'm watching the Winter Olympics on a TV screen. While I'm there, and I'm watching, and I have the jailer to speak with, and yeah, I think on my after a weekend, it was so excruciating that I took a pen to my throat and I almost committed suicide there, and the jailer had to like rush in and get me because I was just livid, like I didn't realize how tough it is to live in a cell where you can't, just even look out and see some basic clouds. I pretended to be sick twice while I was in there so that I could go to the hospital, and was able to look outside and stuff. And eventually they caught on. They're like, oh, John, if you say you're sick one more time, they're gonna charge you a lot to come and see the doctor or whatever. And I was like, all right, fine. And I got to speak in front of a judge once, and pretty much like begging for forgiveness, asking if I could stay at my cousin's place that lives in Seoul so I can wait in trial there. And they say you can't, And I was just like, man, when that letter comes saying that I can't wait at my cousin's place and I gotta wait in jail, I was just like livid. So yeah, I mean, that's when I took that pen to my throat. But they stopped me and they gave me a lot of pen and paper, so I was able to write, and I just wrote about almost every day about my experience inside there. And when I finally got into the actual jail, the jail, they put me in solitary confinement because I was a foreigner, so I couldn't speak with anybody. They didn't want me to associate with anybody there, which I guess I can understand now because they're trying to obviously protect me from some of the other inmates and stuff. But yeah, I was really struggling. But on my third day in, I had a Mr. Park jailer that gave me a Bible, and I still have it with me here. This is the only English book in the entire place, and I kid you not, this Bible brought me back to life. And as much as I write and I wrote a lot too. I mean, I've got a stack of paper this thick. They even stopped giving me paper because I was writing so small. I mean, because they were writing, I was writing so much, they stopped giving me paper, so I had to start writing smaller and smaller. But yeah, I started writing notes on the Bible. I started studying the Bible, and I grew up Christian in high school and stuff, but turned away from God for quite a few years, just because working, and just got caught up with, the partying lifestyle, and the womanizing lifestyle, and the drinking lifestyle. And I felt like God, maybe God just let me loose a little bit, but he knew that I needed this, and I think this was the only way that I really would sit down and read His Word, was when He strips everything away from me. All my money was useless. They stripped away all my clothes, your cell phone, obviously, and then all connection with family and friends. And ultimately, I realized, like when everything is stripped away, that this is all you have, and all you have is God and Jesus Christ. And yeah, He gave me signs in there almost every day that He wanted me in there, and yet He was giving me a nice lesson. And you can turn any hell into a heaven. I was dying in there, and I was like, man, this place is horrible, and they're treating me like crap and all that. And then suddenly, when I humble myself and I read the Bible, and then God speaks with me, and He spoke with me in quite a few dreams, actually. And He says, John, I'm feeding you 3 days a week. I know it's not your favorite food. It's not your hamburgers and pizzas and stuff, but I'm giving you 3 days. I'm giving you 3 meals a day here. Not 3 days a week. I mean three meals a day here. I'm giving you good place to sleep, a warm place to sleep, and I volunteered my time in in Taiwan too, and I helped feed the homeless for a day there, and all they get is all we gave them was some tea and a little thing of bread, and for some people that's like that one meal that they had the entire day, and there's homeless people out there right now that can barely have a meal, but here God's saying here, I'm giving you something. I'm giving you something here every day. Why are you whining? I know that it's tough, but just listen to my word, and I want you to discover something new. And He gave me signs in there almost every day that He wanted me to be in there. I remember one day when I stepped outside, you get 30 minutes of walk time or exercise time or whatever, and I stepped out once and I looked out into the clouds. I was like, man, that looks like a cloud shaped in a dove. And it really did. And no more than maybe an hour when I got back into my cell, I'm reading John chapter 1, verse 32. It says, then John gave this testimony. I saw the Spirit come down from heaven as a dove and remain on him. And man, needed this. Like I needed this so bad, and he gave me other signs where like when I